Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Snare from Tower of Babel, and today you are watching the showcase of our newest pack, Shots Fired, a Deathstep Gunshot DIY pack. You heard that right. And if you liked the demo, which you probably did since you're watching this, I just want to say there's a lot more in the pack than the demo showcases. Although it only has 95 samples, it has infinite possibilities, and I'm telling you that, having played around with it. So, what is Shots Fired? Well, Shots Fired is a one-stop shop for all your gunshot, bass, or pan snare duties. Coming in hot with the DIY gunshot station, you can make your own basses to use in your music. Just grab your desired layers and run them through the processing rack that's included. The fun doesn't stop there. This pack also features a variety of bass effect loops, meant to get your drops hyped up and heated, alongside our shiny snare pan layers, which added on top of any normal snare will instantly turn it into a beast that rips through the mix like a machine. When you go to battle, we bring the heavy artillery. You just enjoy the thrill of the hunt. This pack contains 84 bass elements, 10 drum elements, and 1 bass rack, for a total of 95 free samples. In these, there's included a DIY gunshot design station, a bass rack, bass one-shots, bass effect loops, snare one-shots, and snare pan layers. Genres include dubstep, minatory, dubstep, DnB, and other heavy bass genres. Before I go on to show you the samples and the pack itself, I want to say a special thanks to Androponics for his help with the pack. This pack could not have been here without his help. He was the one that reached out to us and told us that he wants to make a free pack with us, and we obviously agreed because we love free samples. So please check him out. We linked his stuff in the description. Thank you, Andrew. And we also want to thank Danklo Art and Ivystall for their help with the cover art. Their links are in the description as well. Without further ado, let's look through the samples in the pack and how to actually make a gunshot using this pack. So I'm inside of FL Studio. Let's open up the sample pack. Here it is. When you will open it up, it will be split into 4 sections. DIY gunshots, bass one-shots, bass effects, and snare one-shots. It's pretty clear what each one of these offers. Let's start with the DIY gunshots. In here, you have your layers, and then a processing rack. This processing rack is specific to FL Studio, but it's not hard to create a processing rack similar to this. It also requires Dimension Expander by Xfer, which is free on their site. The link can be found on Gumroad. So, how do you make this? Well, we have base layers, mid layers, and high layers. Each one of these can be put together to create one big gunshot. So, you will notice here that they're in 150 and all in D sharp. That doesn't matter, you can repitch them. So let's take a bass layer. I like this one, it's very unhinged. Let's change the tempo to 150. Zoom in a little. So you can see they're playing triplets. That doesn't matter, you can just cut them off like this. So I'm gonna take this bass and I'm gonna layer it with a mid bass. I like this one, it's very sharp. And then, lastly, I'm gonna layer it with a high layer. I like this one, it adds a lot of crispness. So, let's play these together. I mean, do I even need to say anything? It's just a gunshot. And you can just switch stuff out. Any change that I make suddenly changes the gun out entirely. So let's say I want to leave it like this. What I'll do is I'll take my sounds and I'll route them to one single mixer slot, or 3 of them, and then route all of those into another one. And what I'll do is I'll get my gunshot processing rack and I'll just drag it in. Now, keep in mind, when you do this, I don't have a dimension expander, oops. When you do this, it will completely reset your mixer track and replace everything in it with this. So do it on an empty mixer slot. That's, all that you have to keep in mind. Now, my dimension expander doesn't work. That's fine. You don't necessarily need it. What I do is I just replace it with Serum Effects, and I use the hyperdimension from there because they're the same thing. I mean, do I need to say anything else? It's all nice and it's all heavy. What's cool about these guns as well is that each layer can just be used with your own samples. So if you have a gun that you feel like is a little weak or you want to sound different, you can just layer one of these in and it's exactly what you would need. So if you need some more bass, here you go. Just take one. If you need more mids, take one of these. If you need more highs, just take one of these. Alongside these, we also have the long shots. There's only 3 of these, the bass, the high, and the mid. So I'll just layer them to show them to you. I mean, it's pretty heavy. I mean, what can I say else? And if you want to, you can just, like I said, cut it up and only use it once. Alongside the DIY gunshot station, which already has a really big potential for bass design, we have bass one-shots. These are just already pre-made shots, including some gunshot basses made using these samples. So in case you don't feel like designing, you can just drop these in. And let's see what we have in here. So we have a few downbeat basses. I really like these. I actually made these in a video, which you can find in the description. Wink wink. We have some gunshots. Pretty heavy. We also have a lot of these main bass type of sounds. Pretty heavy, def step, and they rip really well for the mix. They have a lot of nice high end that just goes right through, but it doesn't sound too harsh. It's really nice. And then we also have bass effects. I made these specifically. I wanted something that felt like you could just drop it on top of your bass loop and you would get a layer on top basically. These have no bass in them, but they are heavy. They're loops, so that's something to keep in mind. You can layer them with a sub bass if you want to turn them into an actual bass. That's completely fine, but that was not, the purpose when I designed them. So you can hear they're really cool, and we use them in the demo. You can hear them in there. They're really useful, actually. And having something like this at hand is awesome, especially for free. Like, come on. And then we have here a few snares. So we have our normal snare shots. These are really heavy and punchy and distorted. And then we have our special pan layers. Now, as far as I know, I have never seen something like this in any other pack. So these are completely new and unique to our studio. And as you can hear, they're literally just the pan layer. And it's really interesting because it explores a whole new side of sample packs. That is the do-it-yourself or use it to change something that you already have side, which no sample pack ever does. We haven't found any that does this. We don't see sample packs that allow you to just take a sound that you put on top of something that you already have. It's just stuff that's pre-made. And that's fine and all, but sometimes you don't want to use pre-made stuff. Sometimes you want to take something and just add it on top of what you have. And a lot of times, if you have a pan snare, maybe you don't want to use that. Maybe you want to add just a pan on top of your normal snare, which sounds funny. These work on any snare. We've tried them on a lot of genre snares, and they're awesome. Let's take one of these. Let's try this one. I'm just gonna go like this. Let's take a pan layer. So, this one. Now, for these, there are a few tips that I want to give you. First of all, you can pitch or frequency shift these up or down to change their tone. Another thing that I want to suggest is that you don't put them just on top of your snare. You actually pre-shift them a little. Like this, so you can actually hear it more after the transient. Truth is, while they work on every type of snare, in my opinion, they work the best on very short snares. So like this one, although it's not actually short, you don't really hear the tail as much. And this just adds so much shimmer to your snares. It's really interesting. If we just go for a snare outside of the pack, like one from Tenebris, let's get a very unlikely snare. It's a fucking rim shot. And it turns the rim shot into a pan snare. Like, what? That's insane. And that's really the power of this pack and the power of what we'll be exploring as a studio going forward. The idea that we don't just give you pre-made stuff, but that we also give you stuff to play with yourself and to try and make you feel more excited to produce your music. With that said, that is everything related to this pack. Getting this pack, I feel like will add a lot of depth and creativity to your entire arsenal of sounds. Get it? Arsenal? Shots fired. It's completely free. You just type in 0 over here and type in I want this and you will get it. It's only 20 megabytes. It's very small. And like I said, it's completely free and very easy to play around with, and definitely will help your productions if you're looking for that little bit of spice to your desktop productions. With that said, I hope you enjoyed this and I hope you enjoyed the demos. I'll leave you off now with a playthrough of the demo track made by me called Shots Fired. You can find the link in the description. Thank you for downloading the pack and thank you for being here for Tower of Babel. And thank you for choosing to use our samples. We'll see you next time with another pack. Goodbye.